The morning sky over Washington, D.C. changed forever when the ships appeared. They came without warning, massive vessels that blocked out the sun and cast shadows across entire cities. The ships were smooth and white, like giant pearls floating in the sky. There were 12 of them, each one larger than any building humans had ever made. President Jake Morrison was eating breakfast when his phone rang. The call came from General Rick Hayes at the Pentagon. His voice was tight with worry. "Sir, you need to see this. We have visitors." Jake put down his coffee cup and looked out the window of the White House. In the distance, he could see one of the ships hanging motionless above the Capitol building. People on the streets below had stopped walking. They stood frozen, staring up at the sky. "How long have they been there?" Jake asked. "They appeared 15 minutes ago, all at once. No radio signals, no warnings. They just showed up." Jake's wife, Linda, came into the room. She had been watching the news in the kitchen. Her face was pale. "The whole world is seeing this," she said. "They're everywhere. New York, London, Tokyo, Moscow. 12 ships total." Within an hour, the White House Situation Room was full of worried faces. Secretary of Defense Lisa Carter sat next to Dr. Ben Rodriguez, the chief science advisor. Admiral Kyle Brooks had flown in from Norfolk. Everyone was talking at once. "Have they tried to communicate?" Jake asked. "Nothing yet," Lisa said. "Our satellites show they're scanning us. Some kind of energy beam. It's not harmful, but they're definitely studying us." Dr. Rodriguez pulled up images on the main screen. The ships were beautiful in a strange way. They had no sharp edges, no weapons that anyone could see. They looked more like works of art than military vessels. "The technology is incredible," Dr. Rodriguez said. "These ships are at least a mile long. They're made of some material we've never seen before, and they're not using any kind of propulsion we understand. They're just floating there." "Are they a threat?" Jake asked. Admiral Brooks leaned forward. "We have to assume they are. Nothing this advanced comes to Earth for a friendly visit. We should prepare for the worst." But before anyone could respond, every screen in the room went blank. Then a face appeared. It was unlike anything humans had ever seen. The being had large, dark eyes and pale blue skin. Its features were soft and peaceful. When it spoke, the words came out in perfect English. "People of Earth," the being said, "I am Ambassador Veltar of the Galactic Harmony Coalition. We come in peace. We have been watching your world for many years. We need to talk." The message played on every television, every computer, every phone on Earth. The alien's voice was calm and gentle. There was no threat in its tone, but somehow that made it more frightening. "We know you have developed faster than light travel," Veltar continued. "We know you will soon leave your solar system. This concerns us greatly. Your species has a history of violence and war. We cannot allow this to spread to the galaxy." Jake felt his stomach drop. This was not first contact as humans had imagined it. This was a judgment. "We offer you a choice," the alien said. "You may join the Galactic Harmony Coalition. We will share our technology and knowledge. You will have peace forever. But first you must be modified. Your aggressive nature must be removed. We have done this for many species. It is painless and permanent." The screen showed images of other worlds, beautiful cities with clean streets and happy people. Everything looked perfect, but something about the images felt wrong. The people all looked the same somehow. They smiled, but their eyes seemed empty. "If you refuse," Veltar said, "we will place a barrier around your solar system. You will never leave. You will never threaten the peace of the galaxy. The choice is yours. You have 7 days to decide." The screen went black. The room was silent for a long moment. Then everyone started talking at once. "They want to change us," Dr. Rodriguez said. "Genetically modify us." "It's not really a choice," Admiral Brooks said. "Accept their modifications or become prisoners in our own solar system." Lisa Carter was studying reports from around the world. Every government got the same message. The UN is calling an emergency meeting. Everyone wants to know what we're going to do. Jake stood up and walked to the window. Outside, he could still see the alien ship floating above the city. People had gathered in the streets. Some were praying. Others were crying. Many just stood and stared. "What do we know about these modifications?" Jake asked. Dr. Rodriguez pulled up more data. "They didn't give us details, but they said it removes aggression. That could mean a lot of things. It might change how we think, how we feel." "Would we still be human?" Jake asked. "I don't know," Dr. Rodriguez admitted. "Maybe not in the way we understand it." Over the next few hours, reports came, and from around the world, the alien ships were not attacking. They just waited. The beings inside had not tried to communicate again. They had delivered their message, and now they were giving humans time to think. Jake called the leaders of other countries. Everyone was scared and confused. The president of France thought they should accept the alien offer. The prime minister of Britain wanted to fight. The leaders of China and Russia were meeting with their own advisors. That evening, Jake spoke to the nation. He stood in the Oval Office, looking directly into the camera. Behind him, through the window, the alien ship glowed softly in the dark sky. "My fellow Americans," he said, "today we learned we are not alone in the universe. We also learned that our new neighbors are not sure they want us as we are. They offer us a choice: change who we are or stay isolated forever." He paused, choosing his words carefully. "This is not a decision America can make alone. This affects all humanity. In the coming days, we will work with leaders around the world. We will study what these aliens are offering, and we will decide together what it means to be human." After the speech, Jake sat alone in his office. Through the window, he could see the alien ship. It was beautiful and terrible at the same time. He thought about his children, about their children. What kind of world would they inherit? 7 days. 7 days to decide the future of the human race. Jake had never felt the weight of responsibility so heavily. Whatever choice they made would echo through history forever. The clock was ticking. The world had gone crazy in 3 days. Every news channel showed the same images over and over. The alien ships floating silently above major cities. Crowds gathering in the streets. Some people praying, others protesting, many just standing and staring at the sky. Grace Williams sat in her office at the United Nations building in New York. As the special envoy for global peace, she had been working nonstop since the aliens arrived. Her desk was covered with reports from every country on Earth. The message was clear: humanity was divided. "We have to accept their offer," Grace said to the emergency council meeting. "Look at our history: wars, genocide, violence. Maybe they're right. Maybe we need to change." The room erupted in angry voices, representatives from 50 countries all talking at once. Grace raised her hand for silence. "I know it's hard to hear," she continued, "but think about it. These aliens have achieved peace across an entire galaxy. 12 different species working, together without war. When was the last time humans went a single year without fighting somewhere?" Across town, Admiral Kyle Brooks was having a very different meeting. He stood in front of a wall of screens showing military bases around the world. Every weapon system was ready. Every soldier was waiting for orders. "We can't trust them," Admiral Brooks said to his staff. "They show up without warning and demand. We change who we are. That's not peace. That's conquest." Captain Nick Parker nodded from his position at the main console. "The ships are powerful, but they're not invincible. We've been studying them for 3 days. They have shields, but we think our nuclear weapons might get through." "And then what?" asked Colonel Dan Murphy. "Even if we destroy these ships, there could be thousands more where they came from. We attack them, and we prove their point about human aggression." Admiral Brooks was quiet for a moment. He thought about his own children, his grandchildren. What kind of future would they have? "There has to be another way," he said finally. At the University of Chicago, Dr. Amy Stone was not thinking about war or peace. She was thinking about what it meant to be human. Her office was filled with books about philosophy, psychology, and history. She had been studying the alien message for hours, looking for clues. "The modifications remove aggression," she said to her research team. "But what exactly does that mean?" Her assistant, Katie Murphy, pulled up data on her computer. Katie was young, barely out of college, but she was brilliant with computers and languages. "I've been analyzing their speech patterns," Katie said. "The way they talk is strange. Very precise, very controlled, no emotion in their voices at all." Dr. Stone leaned forward. "What else?" "Their choice of words is interesting too. They don't say violence or war. They say disruption of harmony. They don't say anger or fear. They say emotional instability. As if emotions themselves are the problem," Dr. Stone said slowly. Meanwhile, in space, Captain Nick Parker was leading a secret mission. His ship, the New Horizon, was a small research vessel that had been studying the alien fleet from a safe distance. What they found was troubling. "Look at this," said engineer Tony Clark, pointing to his scanner. "Readouts. Every alien ship is exactly the same. Same size, same shape, same energy signature. It's like they all came from the same factory." "That's not how humans build things," added pilot Sarah Lee. "Even our mass-produced ships have small differences. Different crews make different modifications. These ships show no individual variation at all." Nick studied the data. In his years as a military officer, he had learned to read patterns. This pattern bothered him. "It's like they've lost the ability to be creative," he said. "Everything is standardized, controlled." Back on Earth, the debate was getting louder. Television news shows featured heated arguments between experts. Religious leaders called for prayer. Scientists demanded more information. Politicians made speeches that said nothing. But it was a simple teacher from Ohio who asked the question that changed everything. Karen Davis had taught second grade for 20 years. She was watching the news with her husband when she turned to him and said, "If these aliens are so peaceful, why do they all look so sad?" Her husband, Mike, was a mechanic. He was not an educated man, but he had good eyes. He looked at the images of the alien ambassador on the screen. "You're right," he said slowly. "He smiles when he talks about peace, but his eyes look empty." That simple observation spread across the internet like wildfire. Soon millions of people were looking more closely at the alien images. Teachers, parents, artists, people who worked with emotions every day, all saw the same thing. The aliens looked peaceful, but they also looked hollow. Dr. Amy Stone saw the online discussions and felt a chill run down her spine. She called Katie into her office. "I need you to analyze something else," she said. "I want you to study the aliens' facial expressions, their body language. Compare it to human emotions." Katie worked through the night. What she found was shocking. "Dr. Stone," she said the next morning, "the aliens show no micro-expressions at all. When humans talk, even when we're trying to hide our feelings, tiny muscles in our faces move. It's automatic. But these aliens, it's like those muscles don't work anymore. Or like they've been trained not to use them," Dr. Stone said. The revelation sent shockwaves through the scientific community. If the aliens had lost the ability to express emotions, what else had they lost? Dr. Ben Rodriguez called an emergency meeting with President Morrison. They met in the White House Situation Room with Admiral Brooks, Secretary Carter, and Dr. Stone, who had flown in from Chicago. "We're starting to understand what these modifications really mean," Dr. Rodriguez said. "It's not just about removing aggression, it's about removing all strong emotions." President Morrison felt sick. "All emotions? Love, hate, joy, sadness, fear, excitement," Dr. Stone explained. "Human aggression isn't just about violence, it's about passion, about caring so much about something that you'll fight for it. Remove that, and you remove what makes us human." Admiral Brooks slammed his hand on the table. "So our choice is to become emotionless robots or stay trapped in our solar system forever." "Maybe," Dr. Stone said, "or maybe we find a third option." Outside the White House, the alien ship continued its silent watch. Inside, 12 species that had once been as diverse and passionate as humans now served a galaxy-wide government that valued order above all else. The clock was ticking. 4 days left to decide the fate of humanity. But for the first time since the aliens arrived, some humans were beginning to think there might be another answer. Not submission or war, but something else entirely. Something the aliens had never encountered before. Something uniquely human. Dr. Ben Rodriguez had not slept in 36 hours. His team at the Department of Science had been working around the clock, analyzing every piece of data they could gather from the alien ships. What they discovered made his blood run cold. "Show me again," he said to his assistant, Dr. Laura Chen. The large screen in the laboratory displayed a complex analysis of the alien communication signals. Hidden in the radio frequencies were fragments of data that the aliens probably never meant to transmit. "We found these by accident," Dr. Chen explained. "When the aliens scan our planet, they also transmit data back to their ships. Most of it is encrypted, but some leaked through. The images on the screen showed archaeological data from the aliens' home worlds." Dr. Rodriguez stared at ancient buildings, artwork, and sculptures. They were beautiful and complex, showing creativity and individual expression. "This is from the planet Veltar comes from," Dr. Chen said. "But look at this." The screen changed to show the same planet in recent times. The buildings were still there, but they had been modified. Everything was uniform now, the same height, the same color, the same design. All the individual touches had been removed. "It's like they erased their own culture," Dr. Rodriguez whispered. "That's not the worst part," Dr. Chen said. She pulled up more data. "Look at their population numbers." The chart showed a disturbing pattern. On every coalition planet, the population had dropped dramatically after their pacification. Not from war or disease, but from something else. They stopped having children, Dr. Rodriguez realized. Or at least very few children. Without strong emotions, they lost the drive to create new life, Dr. Chen explained. Most coalition species are slowly dying out. They're maintaining their current population with artificial methods, but they're not really living anymore. Dr. Rodriguez felt sick. This was what the aliens wanted to do to humanity, not just remove aggression, but remove the passion that made life worth living. Across the city, Captain Nick Parker was making his own disturbing discoveries. His team aboard the New Horizon had managed to get closer to the alien fleet without being detected. What they found was even more shocking than the cultural data. "Captain, you need to see this," Engineer Tony Clark called from his station. Nick floated over to Tony's console. They were looking at detailed scans of the alien ships. "Crew areas. How many life forms are on each ship?" Nick asked. "That's the problem," Tony said. "We're reading maybe 50 organic beings per ship, but these ships are big enough for thousands of crew members." Pilot Sarah Lee joined them at the console. "So where is everyone?" Tony highlighted sections of the ship on his scanner. "Most of the ship is automated. Artificial intelligence is running everything. The organic crew members seem to be there just for decision-making. They can't run their own ships," Nick said with amazement. "They've lost the ability to be creative enough for complex problem-solving." The implications were terrifying. The coalition species had become so passive that they needed machines to do most of their thinking for them. Back on Earth, Dr. Amy Stone was preparing for the most important presentation of her life. In 2 hours, Ambassador Veltar would arrive at the United Nations building for direct negotiations. Dr. Stone had been chosen to speak for humanity. Her office was filled with papers, books, and artifacts. She had spent the last day gathering examples of human creativity and emotion. Paintings, music, poetry, stories of heroism and sacrifice. Everything that made humans unique. Katie Murphy knocked on the door and entered with a stack of files. "I finished the analysis you asked for," Katie said. "I compared the coalition species' current communication patterns with the ancient data we found." "What did you discover?" Katie sat down and opened her laptop. "The ancient communications show humor, wordplay, emotional expression. But their current communications are completely flat. No jokes, no metaphors, no poetry. It's like they've forgotten how to use language creatively." Dr. Stone looked at the examples on Katie's screen. The difference was heartbreaking. The ancient coalition species had been as vibrant and creative as humans. Now they spoke like machines. "They didn't just lose aggression," Dr. Stone said. "They lost everything that makes life interesting." At the White House, President Morrison was preparing for his own meeting with the alien ambassador. Secretary Lisa Carter and Admiral Brooks were briefing him on their options. "We could fight," Admiral Brooks said, "but we'd probably lose. And, even if we won, we'd prove their point about human violence." "We could accept their offer," Secretary Carter said. "But based on what our scientists have learned, we'd stop being human in any meaningful way." President Morrison looked tired. The stress of the last few days was showing on his face. "Dr. Stone thinks there's a third option," he said. "She wants to show them what they've lost." "Will that work?" Secretary Carter asked. "I don't know," Morrison admitted. "But it's the only idea we have." The United Nations building was surrounded by crowds when Ambassador Veltar's shuttle landed. The alien craft was small and elegant, like everything else from the Coalition. It set down on the roof without a sound. Veltar emerged from the shuttle, with two other Coalition members. One was tall and thin with gray skin. The other was shorter and had features that looked almost human, except for the large eyes and blue-tinted skin. They moved with perfect coordination, like dancers who had practiced the same routine for years. Their faces showed no emotion at all. Dr. Stone met them in the main assembly hall. Representatives from every nation on Earth were present. The room was completely silent as the aliens took their seats. "Ambassador Veltar," Dr. Stone began. "Thank you for coming. We have studied your offer carefully." Veltar nodded. When he spoke, his voice was calm and measured. "Have you reached a decision?" "We have questions first," Dr. Stone said. "We've learned some things about your coalition that concern us." She activated a large screen behind her. The first image showed artwork from Veltar's home planet. Ancient sculptures and paintings that were beautiful and unique. "This is from your world thousands of years ago," Dr. Stone said. "Your people were artists. They created individual works of beauty." Veltar looked at the screen without expression. "That was before we achieved harmony. But you don't create art anymore," Dr. Stone continued. "Your people don't write poetry or compose music. You've lost the ability to express individual creativity." "Creativity leads to chaos," Veltar replied. "Chaos leads to conflict. We chose peace." Dr. Stone changed the image to show population charts. "You also don't have many children anymore. Your species are slowly becoming extinct." For the first time, something flickered across Veltar's face. It was gone so quickly that most people missed it, but Dr. Stone saw it. Sadness, maybe, or regret. "Reproduction is carefully managed," Veltar said. "We maintain stable populations." "But, do you want children?" Dr. Stone asked. "Do you feel the desire to create new life, to love and nurture the next generation?" Veltar was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was different. Smaller somehow. "Want is an inefficient emotion," he said. "We do what is necessary for harmony." Dr. Stone felt her heart break for him. This being had once been part of a species as passionate and creative as humans. Now he couldn't even remember what it felt like to want something. "Ambassador," she said gently, "what if I told you there was another way? What if peace didn't require the death of joy?" For the first time in thousands of years, Veltar looked confused. And in that confusion, Dr. Stone saw a glimpse of who he used to be. "That is impossible," he said. "Strong emotions always lead to conflict." Dr. Stone smiled. "Let me show you something." She was about to give humanity's real answer to the galaxy. Not submission or defiance, but something completely unexpected. Something that would change everything. The assembly hall at the United Nations had never been so quiet. Every representative from every nation on Earth watched as Dr. Amy Stone prepared to show the aliens something they had never seen before. "Ambassador Veltar," she said, "you believe that strong emotions lead to conflict. But what if you're wrong? What if emotions can lead to something better?" The screen behind her came to life with a video. It showed a burning building in downtown Chicago. Smoke poured from the windows while people ran screaming from the flames. "This happened last month," Dr. Stone explained. "The apartment building caught fire. 20 families lived inside, including many children." The video showed firefighters arriving at the scene. One of them was Joe Davis, a man in his 40s with a tired face and steady hands. Without hesitation, he ran into the burning building. This man felt fear, Dr. Stone said. He knew he might die, but he also felt something stronger than fear. He felt responsible for the people inside. The video followed Joe as he climbed the smoke-filled stairs. He found a family trapped on the 3rd floor, a mother with 2 small children. The mother was crying, the children were screaming. Joe felt their terror, Dr. Stone continued. He felt their pain as if it was his own. And that feeling, that empathy gave him strength. The video showed Joe leading the family to safety. He went back into the building 4 more times. Each time he saved more people. On his last trip, part of the ceiling collapsed. Joe was trapped. He could have given up, Dr. Stone said. But he heard a baby crying somewhere in the smoke. His emotions, his love for life, his refusal to let others suffer, pushed him forward. The video showed Joe emerging from the building with an infant in his arms. His uniform was burned. His face was covered in soot. But he was smiling. Everyone lived, Dr. Stone said. 20 families went home that night because one man felt emotions so strongly that he risked everything for strangers. Veltar watched the screen without expression, but Dr. Stone noticed that his hands were gripping the arms of his chair. This is one example, she continued, but let me show you more. The screen changed to show a classroom in a small town in Texas. Teacher Susan White stood in front of 30 children ages 6 and 7. She was reading them a story about kindness. Susan feels love for these children, Dr. Stone explained. Not the programmed care of a caretaker, but real, passionate love. She worries about them when they're sick. She celebrates when they learn something new. She cries when they're hurt. The video showed Susan staying after school to help a struggling student. The boy couldn't read as well as the other children. Susan worked with him for hours, day after day, until he succeeded. Her emotions make her a better teacher, Dr. Stone said. Her anger at injustice drives her to fight for better schools. Her joy in learning makes her students excited to discover new things. Veltar shifted in his seat. But emotions also cause war, he said. Anger leads to violence. Sometimes, Dr. Stone agreed. But watch this. The screen showed news footage from a protest in Washington, D.C. Thousands of people had gathered to speak against a new law they thought was unfair. The crowd was angry, shouting and waving signs. These people are furious, Dr. Stone said. They feel their government has betrayed them. In your experience, Ambassador, what would happen next? Violence, Veltar said without hesitation. Riots, destruction. But that's not what happened, Dr. Stone said. The video continued. As the day went on, the protesters began to organize themselves. They formed committees. They wrote letters. They registered voters. They used their anger as fuel for positive change. Their emotions didn't destroy them, Dr. Stone explained. Their emotions motivated them to build something better. For the first time, Veltar looked uncertain. His perfect composure was starting to crack. Dr. Stone wasn't finished. She changed the screen to show a hospital room. Nurse Maria Lopez was holding the hand of an elderly man who was dying. His family stood around the bed, crying. Maria feels their grief, Dr. Stone said. She feels the weight of death, the unfairness of loss. A person without emotions would simply process the death and move on to the next patient. The video showed Maria comforting the family, helping them say goodbye, staying with them through their darkest hour. But Maria's emotions make her human, Dr. Stone continued. Her sadness drives her to ease suffering. Her love drives her to heal. Her anger at death drives her to fight for life. The second coalition representative, the one with gray skin, leaned forward. This is inefficient, he said, but his voice lacked conviction. Is it? Dr. Stone asked. She pulled up statistics on the screen. Human medical care has improved dramatically in the last century, not because of technology alone, but because doctors and nurses care. They feel invested in their patients' lives. She showed more data. Human scientific discoveries accelerate when researchers feel passionate about their work. Artists create masterpieces when they feel deeply about their subjects. Teachers inspire students when they love learning. The third coalition member, the one who looked almost human, spoke for the first time. But surely you have wars because of these emotions. We do, Dr. Stone admitted. But we also have peace because of them. The screen showed footage from a peace treaty signing. Former enemies shaking hands, embracing, crying together. This happened because people felt compassion for their enemies, Dr. Stone said. Because they felt love for their children and wanted a better future. Because they felt hope that things could change. She showed videos of former soldiers becoming teachers, of protesters becoming politicians, of enemies becoming friends. Our emotions don't just drive us to fight, she said. They drive us to forgive, they drive us to grow, they drive us to become better than we were. Veltar was silent for a long time. When he spoke, his voice was different, quieter, almost curious. You are saying that emotions can be controlled without being eliminated? We're saying that emotions shouldn't be controlled at all, Dr. Stone replied. They should be understood, guided, channeled into positive action. She pulled up her final presentation. It was a compilation of human achievements throughout history. Art, music, literature, scientific discoveries, acts of heroism, moments of forgiveness. Every single one of these came from emotion, she said. Love, anger, hope, fear, joy, sadness, the full range of human feeling. Remove any of them, and you lose part of what makes life worth living. The assembly hall was completely silent. Veltar stared at the screen, and for the first time in millennia something stirred in his chest, a feeling he couldn't name. What are you proposing? He asked. Dr. Stone took a deep breath. This was the moment that would determine humanity's future. We propose an exchange, she said. Not modification, but education. Send some of your people to live with us. Let them remember what it feels like to be alive. In return, we'll send some of our people to live with you. Let us show the galaxy that peace and passion can coexist. Veltar's hands were shaking now. The other coalition representatives looked confused and frightened. This is not possible, Veltar said. Emotions are dangerous, they cause chaos. They can, Dr. Stone agreed, but they also cause beauty, and love, and growth, and the kind of peace that comes not from emptiness but from understanding. She stepped closer to Veltar. Ambassador, when was the last time you felt joy? Veltar opened his mouth to answer, then stopped. He couldn't remember. For the first time in thousands of years, he realized what he had lost. And somewhere deep inside his modified mind, something began to wake up. The galaxy was about to receive an answer it never expected. The moment had arrived. President Jake Morrison stood before the cameras in the United Nations Assembly Hall, with representatives from every nation on Earth behind him. Above the building, 12 alien ships waited for humanity's final answer. But this would not be the answer the Galactic Harmony Coalition expected. Ambassador Veltar, President Morrison began, 6 days ago, you offered us a choice. Submit to modification or face eternal isolation. Today, we give you a third option. The screen behind him came alive with a mosaic of human faces. Teachers, doctors, firefighters, artists, parents, children. People of every age and background, from every corner of the Earth. We offer the galaxy something it has forgotten, Morrison continued. We offer hope. The first face on the screen belonged to Susan White, the teacher from Texas. She spoke directly to the camera, her voice warm and clear. My name is Susan White. I teach children. Every day I see them learn and grow and discover new things. When a child finally understands a difficult lesson, I feel joy so pure it brings tears to my eyes. When a child is hurt or scared, I feel their pain as if it were my own. These feelings make me a better teacher. They make me fight harder for my students. The screen shifted to show firefighter Joe Davis still bearing scars from the building collapse. I'm Joe Davis. I run into burning buildings because I can't stand the thought of people suffering when I might help them. Yes, I feel fear. But I also feel something stronger, the need to protect others. My emotions don't make me weak. They make me brave. Next came Nurse Maria Lopez speaking from her hospital ward. I'm Maria Lopez. I hold dying patients' hands because I feel their loneliness and fear. I celebrate with families when babies are born because their joy becomes my joy. My emotions don't make me inefficient, they make me human. One by one, ordinary people shared their stories. A soldier who chose mercy over revenge. An artist who painted beauty in a broken world. A mother who adopted children from war zones. A scientist who dedicated his life to curing diseases because he couldn't bear to see suffering. Ambassador Veltar watched in silence, but something was happening to him. Each story hit him like a small shock. Deep in his modified mind, locked away memories were stirring. Dr. Amy Stone took the podium. Ambassador, we've studied your coalition for 6 days. We know what you've lost, but we also know it's not gone forever. It's still there, buried under layers of modification and control. She gestured to a volunteer from the audience. It was Katie Murphy, the young engineer who had helped decode the alien communications. Katie has volunteered for an experiment, Dr. Stone announced. She's willing to undergo temporary pacification, the same process your people experienced. In exchange, we ask that one of your people undergo temporary emotional restoration. Veltar stood up abruptly. That is impossible. The modifications cannot be reversed. They can be suppressed, Dr. Stone said. Temporarily. Our scientists have been working with the data we gathered. We think we can block the emotional dampeners in your brain for a few hours. The other coalition representatives looked horrified. The risk is too great, the gray-skinned alien said. Emotions will cause chaos, violence. Or they might cause understanding, Dr. Stone replied. Katie stepped forward. She was young and scared, but her voice was steady. I'm willing to try, if it helps you understand what you're asking us to give up. Veltar stared at her for a long moment. This young human was willing to sacrifice her emotions, her very humanity, just to prove a point. He couldn't understand such dedication. Why? He asked. Katie smiled. Because I love my species. I love what we are. I love our chaos and our beauty, and our terrible, wonderful feelings. I'd rather die as a human than live as something else. Those words hit Veltar like a physical blow. Somewhere in his memory he heard an echo of his own voice, speaking similar words thousands of years ago. Before the modification, before the peace, before his people forgot how to love. I volunteer, he said quietly. The other coalition representatives turned to him in shock. Ambassador, you cannot. I will do it, Veltar said more firmly. For 1 hour, I will remember what we were. The medical teams worked quickly. Human doctors and alien technicians collaborated to design a temporary suppression field for Veltar's emotional dampeners. For Katie, they created a mild version of the coalition's pacification process. The procedures took place in the assembly hall, with the world watching. Katie went first. As the field activated around her, her bright smile faded. Her eyes became distant and calm. When asked how she felt, she replied in a flat, emotionless voice, I feel efficient. The change was heartbreaking. The vibrant young woman was gone, replaced by something that looked human, but wasn't really alive. Then it was Veltar's turn. He sat in a chair while human technology worked to temporarily undo thousands of years of modification. As the field activated, his entire body began to shake. At first, nothing seemed to happen. Then Veltar gasped, as if he had been underwater, and finally surfaced. His eyes widened. His hands flew to his chest. I can feel, he whispered. The first emotion that hit him was grief. Overwhelming, crushing grief for everything his people had lost. He cried out and fell to his knees, sobbing for the first time in millennia. The assembly hall erupted in chaos. The coalition representatives demanded the procedure be stopped. Human security forces moved to protect both volunteers. But Veltar held up a shaking hand. No, he said through his tears. Let me remember. Over the next hour, Veltar experienced the full range of emotions his people had forgotten. He felt wonder as he looked at human art. He felt joy when children's laughter echoed from outside. He felt anger when he realized what had been taken from his species. He felt hope when he imagined what they might become again. Most importantly, he felt love. Looking at the humans around him, he understood for the first time in thousands of years what it meant to care about someone else's well-being more than your own. When the hour ended and the suppressors reactivated, Veltar didn't return to his previous state. The experience had created new neural pathways. He was still modified, but now he remembered what he had lost. Katie, meanwhile, was restored to her full emotional range. She laughed and cried and hugged everyone around her, overwhelmed by the return of feeling. I understand now, Veltar said, his voice still different from before. We thought we were choosing peace over war, but we were choosing death over life. He turned to address his fellow coalition members. We must return to the galaxy. We must tell them what we've learned here. The gray-skinned representative shook his head. The coalition will never accept this. They will see emotions as contamination. Then we'll show them what we've shown you, President Morrison said. One person at a time, one world at a time. Change doesn't happen overnight. Veltar nodded. Some of our people will resist. Some may even attack. But others will remember what we once were. Dr. Stone stepped forward. We propose a new kind of coalition, not one built on the suppression of life, but on the celebration of it. Humans and aliens working together, learning from each other. The Galactic Harmony Coalition believed peace required conformity, Veltar said. But you've shown us that true peace comes from understanding our differences and choosing cooperation anyway. As the alien ships prepared to leave Earth, they carried something they hadn't brought with them: hope. Some held human volunteers who would share their culture with alien worlds. Others carried alien volunteers who would learn to feel again. The process would be slow and difficult. Some coalition worlds would resist. Some humans would struggle with the challenges of galactic citizenship. There would be setbacks and conflicts. But for the first time in millennia, the galaxy had a chance to be truly alive again. President Morrison stood on the White House lawn, watching the ships disappear into the stars. His wife Linda joined him, taking his hand. Do you think it will work? She asked. Jake squeezed her hand, feeling the warmth of her touch, the love that connected them. I don't know, he said. But for the first time in days, I have hope. Above them, stars that had seemed cold and distant now seemed full of possibility. Somewhere, among them, former enemies were learning to be friends. Former slaves were learning to be free. And in the vast cosmos, the galaxy was slowly remembering how to feel. Humanity had given the universe its greatest gift, not technology or knowledge, but the simple, terrible, wonderful capacity to care. The galaxy's reply to humanity's reply would echo through the stars for generations to come. It was a sound that hadn't been heard in the cosmos for thousands of years. It was the sound of laughter.